What's good? Whiskey friends far and wide. We are live on a tasty Tuesday. I am Eric, your humble malt muser. Along with Winston the Whiskey Cat, we are beaming the signal of Whiskey Tube from the second city, the city of big shoulders, the Windy City, my hometown, Chicago, Illinois, USA. It is great to be here for another Tuesday. We got a fun, jam-packed show coming up as always. But before we even get into that, smash that like button. Let's get things started off on a positive note. Drop in that chat. Say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from, your city, your area code, whatever. And make sure you hit that subscription button because you don't want to miss these. And I got whiskey reviews coming out every Friday, as most of y'all know. All right. And as tradition on the show, we are going to kick things off with saying hi and seeing who is ponied up to the virtual bar already here today. First in the door, it's Mr. French. Greetings from Duluth. Eager to hear about this scotch I cannot pronounce and have never heard of. All right. Well, I'm glad we got something interesting for you tonight. London, UK's in the house. What up, man? James Morgan. Nice one I can join with. Great. Slaunch, buddy. Mr. Gerbic, Florida. Great to be back for another Tuesday of Sips and Learning with my favorite people. Wow, that's very kind of you, sir. Good to see you. Ardnamurchan sounds like my ears new and fairly small. Yes, definitely. We're going to be getting all up into that. It's going to be interesting. Saying hi to Gerbic. He says he's doing fine. Still cool this time of year over in London, 21 to 24. That's Celsius. I'm not even going to pretend I know how to convert that into American, right? Because it's basically American. We're like the only ones that use Fahrenheit anymore, I think. Good to see you, James, man. I hope everything is well over there in London. Sweltering in Jupiter, Florida. Yeah, we've had a couple... We actually had a relatively cool week comparatively here in Chicago. Last week at this time, it was like 100. So definitely welcoming the cooler temperatures here in the Midwest. Excellent. Aaron Hardiman's in the house. Aaron, great to see you, buddy. How are you? Slaunch, raise a glass to you, man. Peter White says, James Morgan, wherever do you sleep? Yeah, do you sleep? Or are you actually just some type of British vampire? Christopher Lee's heir apparent. Let us know. Peter White, the one, Ontario, Canada. Great to see you, Mr. White. Quad Cities, just on the other side of the land of Lincoln. It is our friend Chris S. What's up, Chris? Great to see you. Happy Tuesday. Los Angeles, City of Angels. The fearsome twosome that hold it down out there in the San Fernando Valley area. We got Cohen in the house and James Chang. What up? How are things out in LA? 98 degrees in the valley. Ooh. Feeling it out there, huh? You mix that with all that air pollution? Good Lord. Great to see the LA crew in the house, man. Love Los Angeles. Yeah. All right. We got 8 folks in to get things started. This is great, man. Let me set things up for you. So first and foremost, folks who are supporters on Patreon, if you check your email inbox after this show, you will see the review for this week is already there because you do get early access to those as a Patreon supporter. Winston the Whiskey Cat approved of this whiskey. No, he didn't. He doesn't approve of any whiskey. As you can see, he just sleeps by the Laphroaigs. He's got no interest in it. And he calls himself a whiskey cat. Your review this week, Barrel Armida. If you were a fan of the Barrel Seagrass, you're definitely going to want to learn about the Barrel Armida. Well, I got a full review dropping Friday for folks. If you are on Patreon, that is already in your email inbox. Check it out. It's a good one. Tonight on the show, I'm going to try, and we're going to be uncorking and trying the whiskey from a distillery I've never had anything from before. The distillery, Ardnamurchan, the whiskey. This is the Ardnamurchan 07.21 batch 4. So this is the July 2021 batch 4. We're going to talk all about Ardnamurchan tonight. We're going to give it a taste. I believe this was a U.S. release only, but probably similar batches were released in other countries. So you can, James Morgan, among others, drink along. Later in the show, I got another sample, and quite an exciting one that was sent over by our friend in Maryland, Michael Besley. It is the Glenfiddich. Let me just make sure I actually say this right, because it's a long title. It's a 26-year-old Glenfiddich. It is the Grand Couronne. It is a cognac cask finish bottled at 43.8% ABV. I have that sitting in the glass already, resting, getting ready for the second half of the show. So we're going to be getting into that too. All right. Good to see folks. We got 10 folks in. Awesome, man. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We're heading into the peak summer here. I was warming things up with a Tobermory 12. And now let's get on to it. Okay. So let me just actually first get this in the glass. Let it get a little oxygen. And then we're going to talk about Ardnamurchan. This is a really, really interesting distillery, and there's a lot of cool facts about how they're doing things there that I think is really worth sharing. And honestly, nice pop. Outside of that, their whiskey looks very, very interesting too. Okay, so Ardnamurchan is a distillery. He's got a cask strength single cask sherry. Very nice, very nice. Ardnamurchan is located on the western side of Scotland, kind of like in the Oban area. It's considered a Western Highlands whiskey. This is their box. So you can kind of see here, not much going on. It looks just kind of like cardboard with nothing flashy on it. And that's really because it is. Now, there's a bunch of writing on here, and I do think that this is worth sharing with you. So the first thing you should know about Ardnamurchan is, if you've never heard of them before, they are basically the single malt distillery owned by independent bottler Adelphi. So much like the relationship you see with Cadenheads and Springbank, or the relationship you see with Gordon MacPhail and Ben Romick, independent bottlers owning single malt distilleries, or vice versa. In this case, it is an independent bottler owning a single malt distillery. So a bunch of small print on here, but this is actually really cool. So they kind of they tell you a bit about everything about their whiskey here in their distillery. So first, they have a thing called transparent. Ardnamurchan is the first Scottish distillery to adopt the use of blockchain technology to provide an incorruptible ledger of its complete supply chain and production. This ledger is available to the consumer by scanning the QR code on the bottle, and offers fully transparent diary of the whiskey's field to bottle journey. Pretty cool. They're embracing some interesting technology. Maybe they're on Ethereum or something. Who knows? Maybe they're into the Bitcoin. Here's the other thing I think is really cool. So this next section is called renewable. Due to its remote location, Ardnamurchan is built to develop and fully utilize a local circular economy. The entire heat and power requirements are supplied by renewable sources within 2 miles of the distillery, hydroelectricity from the river that also supplies its cooling water, and wood chip for its biomass boiler delivered by tractor from nearby sustainable forestry. So I'm assuming this is all sustainable recycled stuff here. Hence the way the box is presented. I personally quite like it. They have a little bit more about the distillery. We can hold off on that for now. But, what we're looking at here is a distillery that seems to be really kind of embracing technology, embracing a green geo, what do we want to call it? A climate change friendly approach to things. They're doing things sustainably. They're using renewable sources, renewable energy, all very cool. But the problem would of course be maybe they're not making great whiskey, right? Maybe they're putting out a crap product. Well, from its presentation, and here we go into the tail of the tape. This is the bottle of Ardnamurchan that I'm looking at. It is bottled at 46.8% ABV, and it says both here and on the box on chill filtered natural color. So all really, really great things. It's an integrity bottling. Right now, these are going for about $60 in the US. From what I can gather, a little internet research. So this batch, yes, 100% recycled carbon. It is 35% sherry cask, 65% ex-bourbon, and it's a 50-50 split between peat and unpeated malt. So bourbon sherry, a bit peaty, similar to Oban, probably peatier than Oban, maybe we're going to say. This is the color of that again. Very, very minimalist bottling, which I really dig. So that's all cool. They're imported by Impex, which also imports Kilhoman. And the distillery opened in 2014. So considering that this is a bottled in 2021, maybe we could reasonably say 6-7-year-old whiskey. So that's the tail of the tape on the Ardnamurchan. Would love to hear in the chat who I know James Morgan's got his hands on one, but I would love to hear if anybody else has had any. So interesting bottle we're looking at here. Peat and non-peat, sherry bourbon cask. I'm into it. Let me see what's going on. We got some more folks joining in the chat. Daniel's in the house. Hook, are we going fishing? I just need to do laundry, so I had to go into the fishing gear. We could go. I would love to. I'm actually going to go this weekend. I'm going to go hit up the Fox River just outside Chicago and see if I can nail some smallies. Good to hear. The Fisher of Men. There you go. They have comfort in mind. Indeed. Muser's the Fisher of Malt. At our age, we dress for comfort, not for speed. This is truth. Not to bring peace, but a malt. Yes, you are absolutely right about that, sir. The son of malt must not become a Jedi. Rob's in the house. Good to see you, Rob. Sorry I missed you there, buddy. There are some Ardnamurchan in Alberta that I really looked into, but not seriously. Yeah, so what I've basically been seeing is they've been doing a couple of these small batch releases. Again, they don't, put fancy names on them. They're all just kind of like the date of the bottling and the batch number. Again, I think this is a whiskey that is not, trying to sell it to the masses. This is a whiskey that is trying to appeal to people like us, who are kind of in that intermediate to advanced level of Scotch, and you're kind of looking for something in particular. That's more on the integrity bottling, and of course, one of our goals here on the channel is to evangelize integrity whiskey. So here we go. Ardnamurchan. Now, from what I understand, this is a U.S. batch. Now, there were a bunch of other ones that were bottled at 07-21, different batches. I think the batches were all the same in terms of the breakdown of sherry cask versus bourbon cask and peat versus unpeated, but I think this 04 one was just the one in the U.S. So here is the color of this naturally colored unchill filtered whiskey. Very, very exciting. All right. I'm pretty excited for this. This is a new dram for me. I have never had anything from these guys. Let's see what they're all about. On the nose. Grist. Lake. Barley. Very barley, youthfully spirity. This is definitely barley gray cereal malt forward. reminding me a bit of like Brook Lottie, classic Lottie. But behind that youth and that, and again, the youth is not throwing me off here. It's more that it's just so very assertive with the barley. Hints, sherry cask, medium red fruits, stewed plum, strawberry, maybe even. The peat, yeah, there's a bit. It's not smoky, but it's got a little bit of that effervescent peat. Getting some hints of vanilla, some little butterscotch toffee in here. Apple, definitely. If I was going to categorize this is more on the sweet, spicy side of things. It's not a floral or kind of delicate whiskey in any way. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's give it a taste. Happy Tasty Tuesday, y'all. Solange Ardnamurchan 0721 batch 4 down the hatch. Oh, that's nice. Good casts. Ooh, okay. We got to do one more sip, and then I'll start jabbering about it. Do let me know in the chat. Anybody had this batch for? Okay. Wow. Arrives more of a oily or fuller mouthfeel than I expected. Not fully mouth coating, but definitely a lot of good cask influence here. The tasting notes are kind of sweet bitter. So you're getting sweetness of apple, fruit, tropical fruit even a little bit. Then peach. Then what you're getting is, as it develops, the spice starts to kick in. And it's a bitterness. It's a combination of kind of like a bitter herb spice, like parsley, I don't know. Little bit of oak, that peatiness, little edginess from the youth. And while not completely in balance, it does kind of come together pretty nice on the finish, which has got some nice vanilla, drying a little bit. And again, very kind of punchy, aggressive, assertive malt. So this is an interesting whiskey. It's a bit disjointed, but in a way that I actually am kind of enjoying. You know, you get this kind of thick, oilier mouthfeel, and then it gets kind of young and punchy and dry. And you also have a nose that's, kind of covering all those bases too, where you got a little bit of this fruit. I mean, make no mistake about it. This is a younger whiskey, and you can smell it. If you have drank younger malts in your day, you know that this is. But the freshness of it all, the peat, it's actually kind of nice. Where I think something that's equivalent, like a Brook Lottie, classic Lottie, I know is not peated, but what I'm saying is with that, the youthfulness is kind of an end. With this, it's actually kind of got a bit of it actually kind of is complementing everything else going on, not being necessarily the star of the show. So while you're getting the malt, the young malt, the kind of youthful, young, punchy spirit here, everything else, the subtleties of it are kind of coming together and making this a quite interesting dram. You're not going to put this past anybody as an older whiskey. But that mouthfeel is great. Oily. A lot of flavor. And then Again, the youth, the barley note, the punchiness of the peat comes in. Not very smoky, little hints of ash, but not. This is not a smoky whiskey. I quite like this. There's a really nice. This finish, medium long, fudgy, vanilla, coconut. This is actually pretty good. Ardnamurchan. So I know that they have some cask strengths out there. I'd love to probably get my hands on one of those. But boy, I'll tell you, for this small, I'm assuming this is a small batch. I think they probably only did maybe 10,000 bottlings of this. Again, batch 4. Even between sips here, it gets better. We're going to try a little bit of water on it, but I'm quite impressed. Again, the spirit is what matters in the end, but I do just got to, again, compliment them for their eco-friendly approach to things. Last week we were talking a bit about how Bruichlotti's Port Charlotte, or Bruichlotti's line, including Port Charlotte, is going to be removing the canisters from a lot of their core range stuff. We were talking about the merits of like boxes for some boxes. I mean, their box presentation here is as minimalist as it gets. I mean, maybe Le Chag is more minimalist than this. But like clearly a recycled, cardboard here, which is great. This whiskey in a way is reminding me a little bit of like a Glencadam. Just very. It's about the spirit, right? They're not trying to be flashy. They're not trying to, Boy, there's a nice lemon melon thing coming through now. All right, let me put some water on this. Again, it is 46.8. So I'm thinking about Torveg. Torveg is another newer distillery that I recently had. I think we did that maybe about 6 or 8 months ago. And there's a review of it up. They're over on Isle of Skye. A lot of similarities between the two here. This a bit earthier, it doesn't have that salty pepper thing and salt and pepper thing they got going. But I actually prefer this to the Torveg. But what Torveg is doing similar with these folks is, again, not very flashy presentations, integrity bottlings for everything, no chill filtration, no natural color, very transparent about their sources. Transparent about everything really. Hopefully, these types of distilleries, as long as they continue about good malts, will continue to gain traction. So here we are with water. Again, dominated with the young grain peatiness. I say this in a good way. Creamy vanilla, caramel, butterscotch, honey, more bourbon cask with water. That sherry's taking a little step back. Here we go. Yeah. Full mouthfeel arrival. Pretty oily, and then gets drier, but not tannic. It's more of the peat punch, effervescent. Boy, the water extended that finish. This is good with water. Dark chocolate, vanilla, hints of cordial cherry kind of thing. Honey, bit of earthiness, a little bit of ash. This is a good whiskey. At $60, this is definitely punching above its weight in the contemporary market. It's not going to knock your socks off, but this is This is a respectable whiskey for sure. I'm really happy with this. This has actually shown up a little bit better than I even expected. Again, the age on this, we're probably looking at between 6 and 7 years. I'm going to put a little bit more in the glass. Just because I'm enjoying this. Yo, this is a 3.5 for me. I mean, this is at... I might even go a little higher to 3.75. It's that good. This has everything you want, but not enough of one single thing, right? So you're getting a bit of sherry. You're getting a nice fresh bourbon casket. Or you're definitely getting peat, but it's not overpowering. You're getting a rich whiskey, but it's also young. Like, it's kind of all over the place. Very interesting, but it's working. I'm really going to be curious to try some of their stuff as it gets older here. I think I'll sit at 3.5 as a prelim on this. I'll definitely do a full review, but for me, 3 is average. So this is an above average whiskey. This is one to look out for. Again, they're owned by Adelphi, who were one of the premier independent bottlers probably about, 10 years ago. Now they're one among many, maybe not quite as I don't know what you want to say, as standout as they used to be. Dram Dude's in the house. Top Shelf's in the house. What's up? How you guys doing? We got 16 folks in, man. Great to see you. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Rob's here. Awesome, man. Donner Pass. What up, buddy? Been enjoying Ardnamurchan. Oh, the cast strength. Great. I'm sold on getting a cast strength. Yeah, I'm sold. This is a distillery I'm going to be looking for. Look, here's the thing. With the way whiskey prices are going in the opposite direction of the global economy, right? Inflation, fucking everything's getting more expensive. Distilleries like Ardnamurchan, Ben Romick, these are the ones that are going to be putting on good malts that you can afford, that are punching above their weight. That I'm not sure about. I am not sure. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna sit confidently at a 3.5 with upside on this. I'm really impressed. The complexity here, the journey. It is not a relaxed whiskey. It's a very active, exciting whiskey to drink. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I didn't see this coming. This is good. You'd love to see that development go a little longer. You'd love to see that the transition be a little more seamless. But again, we're looking at a 6-7-year-old whiskey. Their cask selection here is excellent. You can tell these were active casks. It's bursting with flavor. Rich chocolate. Fruit notes. And it is really quite impressive. I actually think this is more impressive than the Torveg, and I was pretty impressed with that. All right. So that's the Ardnamurchan. Western Highlands malts, if you think that regionality matters. The only other one that really, I think, self-identifies that way is Oban. This is a class above Oban, I can tell you that. I have a soft spot in my heart for Oban. Next week, we're going to do Oban 18, by the way. I have a soft spot in my heart because Oban 14 was the whiskey that converted me from tequila and, to some extent, bourbon drinking to Scotch. That was the one. It was the first bottle I bought. It was the first one I had. I was blown away by it. It was such an interesting whiskey. I was intimidated by it. I have not bought a bottle since that first one I bought. And, you know, I have had the Oban Little Bay, which I actually thought was okay after a while. I have not had their Distiller's Edition, but I do have a soft spot for that somewhat forgotten, not universally appraised distillery. That Oban 14 used to be a decent bottle at $55, $60, you know, 7-8 years ago. Nowadays, I saw it here in Chicago at one shop. Now, this shop does inflate their prices quite a bit. It was $109.99 for a bottle of Oban 14. It's like, are you kidding me with this? But next week, I'm going to taste an Oban that I've never had. I have been sitting on this bottle for well over 2 years. It's time to open it. I have a bottle of Oban 18, so we're going to check that out next week. That should be fun. Okay. We still got 15 folks in, which is great, man. Again, high praise on the Ardnamurchan. This is a super solid whiskey, and I'm excited to try others. I'm going to move along. And the next thing, I don't know if Michael Besley's in the house. Mike, if you are, I'm about to jump into one of your whiskeys, and I'm actually going to Google this really quick just to make sure I share the right info. It's the Glenfiddich 26-year-old Grand Couronne single malt. Going for stupid prices. This one is bottled at, it's a cognac cask finish. It is bottled at 43.8% ABV, I believe. Been a while since I had a Fiddick. Yeah, 87.6 proof, so 43.3 ABV, 43.8, some shit like that. So this is part of their Grand Series, right? So this is French for the Grand Crown, Great Crown. So this is part of the Grand Cru thing and all that. It's bourbon sherry cask. Blah, blah, blah. Another stellar sample shared by friend of the show, Michael Besley, out in Maryland. So thank you, man. Yeah, if you are in the house. If not, I'll see you next week because I usually catch you on here. Ooh, boy. I have to fix the palate a bit here. One thing I wanted to mention really quick is, if you didn't catch it in the beginning of the show, whiskey review dropping this Friday is Barrel Armida. Even if you're a Scotch head, you're going to want to hear about this one. This is quite a whiskey. Patreons, you got this in your inbox already, so you can check that out after the show. But honestly, one of my favorite bottles in the last 2 years, and something I think I may pick up probably a couple more of as I continue on. I'd love to see the difference in batch variation if there is any. Okay, so here we go. Glenfiddich. This is some top shelf stuff. I see you, Mike. 26 years old. Unsure about color and natural color or filtration. Yeah, they do everything in batches, but I would, if you've never had it, I would buy it for sure. For sure. Unquestionable. Definitely do it. Okay, so this Glenfiddich, obviously Space Cider. This is 26 years old, and it's part of their Grand, what is it called? This is the Grand Couronne, which is French cognac casks, meticulously sourced. It's bourbon and sherry, and then finished in that. These bottles are going for $600 to $900 apparently. So apparently this is something quite Interesting. And thank you again, Michael Besley, for the sample. If anybody has had this, do let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But here we go. On the nose, Grand Couronne cognac cask finish. Wow. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with that. It reminds me a bit of a Balvenie, an aged Balvenie nose. Nice amount of sweet malt, but also honey, toffee, vanilla, classic. I mean, Glenfiddich and Balvenie are like this, so it's of no surprise. Yeah, well, yeah, this is, yeah, 43.8. Yeah, you'd like to see more. I mean, that's what bummed me out about their 21-year-old Grand Reserve, which is part of this same series, which is that rum finish 21. It's 40%. I did do a sample tasting of it, and it was good, but like, there's just, I'm sorry, man, I'm not throwing down that kind of money. $250 some for fucking 40% whiskey. It's just not happening. Boy, this, man, apples, oranges, spicy, creamy, vanilla. This is, yeah, it has that density of one of those older Balvenies. I mean, not even just the Balvenie ton, but Top Shelf D, what up, man? 40% makes it smooth. Yeah, you ain't lying, brother. Good to see you, man. Man, this is like an apple fritter, caramel apple just explosion going on here. Nothing's popping out too much. It's 26-year-old whiskey, so it's got some, it's subtle, but that's the dominant note here. It's just blowing up out of here, man. A little bit of oak cask. I mean, I'm looking at this color, and I'm not even sure if that's natural or not. It just don't know. It's hard to tell. Anyway, I had this open for sitting here for 45 minutes. So, I mean, I think this is the more than respectable amount of time for Oxygen to do its work here on this 26-year-old Glenfiddich. Cognac cask finish. Am I picking up any cognac notes, which tend to be kind of apple, fruity, stewed fruit? Yeah, a little bit. Muser. No, man. Mine are still caught up in customs for over a month. I got. Yeah. All right. Anyways, Glenfiddich 26 Grand Couronne. French for Great Crown. Here we go. Wow. Similar to the 21-year-old 40%, it punches above its weight. Really hot finish, though. Wow. But again, one of the telltale signs of a really good whiskey to me is that when you think you know the finish, you get a couple surges of other things that pop up as the finish is developing. And that's definitely what's happening here. This is a rich, candy-like, almost rummy whiskey. A lot of apple, hints of tropical fruit. Viscous, dense in the flavor. I'm doing another sip. Beautiful nose. Beautiful nose. Balvenie level nose. Old Balvenie level. Man. Chocolate syrup, dark chocolate. It's just huge. Huge amount of flavor here. Cask driven. All the like lightness and subtlety that you get out of a Glenfiddich is out the window with this. This is a very very bourbon cask driven, The cognac can't have been too long of a finish because it is only providing anecdotes to a very chocolatey. I mean, this is Glenmorangie Signet level chocolate, if not more. And actually, I would say more. Relaxed, refined, rich. It's hard to bat an eye at this. It's good. It's good for what it is. It's definitely good. This is an old whiskey. It's a light Speyside spirit that has taken on a ton of cask influence, and boy is it. Damn. A little graham cracker coming in here, man. What's up with this? Mike B, are you in the house? I don't think he is. I don't think he made it this week. All right. Well, just a couple drops. You don't want to, pro tip, which I learned from other people, don't put too much water on old whiskeys. They're delicate. Damn. More apple. Honey. Orange. Man, the orange note on here is so, it's pithy. It's like the orange rind. Winston, what do you think of this? He's not no interest in that shit. You're the whiskey cat, man. He's looking at me indignant. All right. You good? He just wants to sleep. He's got no love for this. MSRP $600. Hot damn. Wow. There's just nothing wrong with this. This is probably the best Glenfiddich I've ever had. I don't know how much Mike B paid for this, but I can't imagine that, some of these websites have this for $1,000. I don't know. I mean, that's way outside anything I think that this might be worth, but man, this is good. It's a 4.25 whiskey for sure. Price is obviously being excluded in that. If we included price, I think a 3.75. I don't know. This is the best Glenfiddich I've ever had. The level, the complexity of this, the fact that it comes off so oak driven, but yet the longer you give it and pay attention to it, the more you start noticing the subtleties. It's just a testament to just fine casks. I'd love to have seen this at a higher ABV. I could understand that maybe it would, part of me wonders, like, if you put this at a higher ABV, would it diminish a bit of the subtlety that you pick up in it, right? Like, if it's an old whiskey, like this, Glenfiddich 26, what is it? The Grand Couronne. Like, if you raise the ABV up on this too much, would it actually diminish the subtlety that you get from a delicate older whiskey? I don't know. I can tell whatever they've done here is masterfully done. Fantastic stuff. I mean, this rivals Balvenie Ton, some of the 1509 batches I've had, even at the lower ABV. It's about how good this is. God damn. It's just straight up delicious, y'all. Yeah, I'll sit at 4.25 on that. Thank you, Michael Besley, out there in Maryland, for this sample. This is really delicious. Just to remind folks, whiskey review dropping on Friday, Barrel Armida. Check that out. I think you guys will enjoy it. Patreons, you have this in your inbox already. Unfortunately, I am going to have to cut things a little early tonight, despite the 19 folks in. I really do appreciate y'all, but I have some things I have to urgently attend to, basically, and so I can't kind of go much further. But I am glad I got to hang out with everybody tonight, albeit somewhat briefly. I hope y'all are doing well, and of course, we'll be here next week with Oban 18. Uncorking should be a lot of fun. With that, I'm going to sign off. Appreciate y'all, and have a good rest of your Tuesday and rest of your week, man. Much love. It's lunch.